Hi there, friends. Welcome to this backbend mermaid flow. For this class, grab a couple blocks, definitely a strap, maybe a blanket, and I think that is it. We will get started kneeling. As always, your body, your practice. Make sure you're listening to your body, choosing modifications that are right for you. If something doesn't feel right, back out of the pose. You can always come to child's pose to rest, take something different. Just you do you. Listen to your body. We'll start just in a kneeling position. If that's not comfortable for you, just any comfortable seat is fine. And then let's just bring both hands on top of our hearts. Close down your eyes. Take a few deep breaths here before we get started. In and out, maybe through your nose. Just allowing that kind of shift inward here as we close our eyes. Focus on that heart space. We will do some back bending today with our kind of final pose being mermaid. These are all heart-opening postures, so maybe choose a mantra for this class and for your day that could center around that. Something like, I am open, I am receiving, I'm free. Anything that kind of pops in your mind, you can just go with that. I am. One more breath. Can gently open your eyes, release your hands, and we'll come into a tabletop. So bring wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, and let's just start with some gentle cat-cow. So on an inhale, drop your belly, lift your sit bones high, draw those shoulder blades towards one another on the back. And then on your exhale, press down into the mat as you tuck your pelvis, push the shoulder blades away from the spine, tuck your chin. Then you can just inhale and exhale back and forth through this cow and cat. Feeling your spine kind of start to wake up. You'll feel that opening in the front of the chest during that cow. And feel that opening on the back between the shoulder blades on that cat. Let's just do one more wherever you are. And then we'll meet back in our neutral tabletop. On an inhale, reach that right leg long behind you. Squeeze through this big glute muscle on the back of your backside there. Try to keep a neutral pelvis without arching or tucking. And then lift that left arm out in front of you if that would be comfortable into a balancing tabletop. From here, we can drop the hand and the foot just down to the floor. We'll inhale it up, and then let's open the chest and start to bend the knee and reach towards that back foot. It's okay if you don't touch it. Just work for the reach. Reach them forward again. Tap them down. Reach them back up. Bend that right knee. Reach that left arm back, maybe towards that foot. And then we'll do 3 more here. So reach up, tap, extend, reach up. This is 2. And then last one here, open up. We'll extend the arm and the leg back out. You can bring this left hand back down to the mat and then see if you can reach that right leg out towards the right, maybe keeping the foot in line with the hip. And then place the foot down on the mat with your toes pointing forward. Walk your hands out into a little gate pose, puppy stretch mashup. So just allow the chest and the shoulders to open and come down towards the mat. You can place your forehead down. You can even place your chin down if you're feeling that open. One more breath. On an inhale, press down through your palms, lift your chest, start to walk your hands back towards that tabletop, and then see if you can bring that right foot forward, kind of towards where your right hand is on the mat. Keep a bent knee. And then swing this left shin to be parallel to the front and back of the mat, and then open this left arm up overhead into a modified side angle. So we're really pressing this right arm into the inside of the right thigh, thigh into arm. Open up that left side of your body. And then on an inhale, reach the torso up, lead here with the left arm, and we'll cartwheel the arms, land on that left hand at the back of your mat. We're staying on this left shin, Reach the right arm up overhead, reach that right leg up into a modified side plank. You could keep this right leg down if that's more comfortable. If you have the leg lifted, bend the knee just like we did in that balancing tabletop, and now reach back with the right arm, maybe grab the top of the foot, and then press foot into hand into the foot. Open through the chest. If you're not able to reach the foot, just work that active flexibility, opening. One more breath. Let's release the foot, bring the right foot back down to the mat, right arm back up overhead. Cartwheel the hands back up so you're standing like in a gate pose. And then let's turn to face the front of the mat. We'll keep the right leg straight. Point the toes up towards the ceiling. You can bring your hands down to blocks or the mat. Just shift that left shin to come back to be parallel to the sides of your mat. And we're in like an Ardha Hanumanasana, half split here. Allow your torso to fold forward over that front leg. Get a nice stretch all the way up the calf, through the hamstring. And then we'll come onto that right foot, bend the right knee, shift the hips forward, and come into an Anjaneyasana low lunge. You can always have blocks underneath your hands here. Squeeze this left glute, feel an opening through the front of the left hip. Just take a couple breaths here, allowing that pelvis to come forward and descend. And then we'll lift the hips. You can press down into the hands and just step this right knee back to meet the left and bring your hands back down into your tabletop. We'll take that little flow on the left side. So on an inhale, lift that left leg behind you, lift the right arm in front. Think long line all the way through the right fingertips to the left toes. Tap them both down, lift them back up, bend that left knee, open the chest towards the right. See if you can tap back towards that foot. Reach it long, tap it down. Reach it long, open, squeeze that left glute. We're engaging that left hamstring to help curl the foot. Think heel to booty. I think we've got one more. Lift it up, open. You can maybe grab that foot, maybe open the chest. Reach everything long again. Right hand comes down. Swing this left leg out to the left. You can keep a flex on the foot. Place that left foot down, toes point forward. Walk the hands out, lower the chest into our little puppy stretch mashup here. Should feel a nice stretch on the inside of that left thigh. On your next inhale, press down through your palms, gently lift your chest. Walk your hands back towards tabletop, and then see if you can bring this left foot forward. You can use your hand if you need to the outside of that left hand. Spin your right shin to be parallel to the front and back of the mat, and then open that right arm up overhead into your modified side angle. Think about opening your chest up towards the ceiling, and then take that right hand up. Reach the torso up, cartwheel the hands, left hand kind of follows the right. Right hand lands at the back of the mat, and we're in a modified side plank. You can lift that left leg, can bend that knee again, reach that left hand back towards the top of the left foot, and then press foot into hand into the foot to work to open the chest, squeezing the glute there. One more breath. Release the foot in the hand. Left hand reaches up. Take that left foot down to the mat, and then torso comes back up into gate pose. We'll turn to face the front of the mat, so come onto the left heel. Hands can come down to blocks or the mat, and just shift that shin, that right shin, to be parallel to the sides of the mat. Again, we're back facing forward in an Ardha Hanumanasana. Exhale and fold forward over that front leg. Take a couple of breaths. On your next inhale, place that left foot down on the mat. Shift the hips forward, Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Hands can be on blocks, the mat, your thigh, up in the air. Anywhere that's comfortable for you. One more breath. Release the hands back down to the mat. Step this left knee back to meet the right, like in our tabletop. This time, let's curl the toes. Lift those hips up into downward facing dog. Press all of your knuckles into the mat. Really push the mat away. Allow your neck to be neutral. Lift those sit bones up high. Draw this low belly in. Scoop it in. Maybe walk your heels out. One side and then the other. Maybe hearing all of your toes crack if you're me. Wowzers. All right, let's inhale and lift the right leg up, bring the right knee towards the nose, plant that right foot, and let's inhale up into a high crescent lunge. So feet are parallel, both toes are pointing forward, hips square to the front of the mat, arms are framing our ears, palms face one another. Let's take an inhale, reach the arms up. You can even lift the hips and straighten that front leg slightly. And then on your exhale, open the arms into cactus arms and allow the elbows to come down. So we'll just kind of pulse up and down here through this little cactus arm. You can even work to kind of bring the chest forward, take it into a little bit of a heart opening. Last one here. Let's inhale it back up into that high crescent lunge. Shift your torso forward over that front thigh. You can have blocks down in front of you. We're coming towards a warrior 3 or a supported warrior 3. So we'll kind of shift our weight into that right foot. You can kind of tiptoe that left foot in if you need to. Lift this left leg up. You can always be in a supported, hands down or hands on blocks. Think long line from the crown of your head all the way through those back toes. Left hip points down towards the mat. Let's do 5 leg lifts here with that left leg. 5, squeeze this glute muscle. 4, 3, 2, last one here up into your warrior 3. Bend that right knee, bring the left knee or the left foot to meet the right, and we'll inhale up into Utkatasana chair. So low belly is drawing in, that transverse abdominis is just hugging that corset muscle. Arms are framing the ears just like they were in that crescent lunge. Check in with your pelvis, make sure we're not in too much of an anterior or posterior tilt. Try to keep it neutral. Bring your hands to heart center and let's twist towards the right. Maybe place the outside of that left elbow above that right knee, keeping the knees level is the word I'm thinking of. In your twist, shift the weight into your right foot. Maybe shoot that left foot back and we'll land in a revolved crescent. Hug both inner thighs in towards one another. And then release the hands. Start to reach that left arm up and over as we open out to the side and land in a Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2. Right heel is lining up with the left inner arch, bending through the right knee. Arms reach out in opposite directions. Take a breath. Let's inhale and flip this front palm. Reach that arm up overhead into a reverse warrior. This hand is just gently sliding down the back leg. And then on your exhale, cartwheel the hands all the way forward to frame this front foot. Spin onto your back toes. Step that right foot back to meet the left, and then come down onto your knees. Align the hips over the knees, and let's walk hands out into a puppy stretch, but let's do it on blocks this time. So grab your blocks, place your hands on top of the blocks, and then allow your chest to come down towards the mat. This is a pretty deep shoulder opener. If the blocks are too intense, by all means, come back down onto the mat. If you have any shoulder issues, you might want to skip this one or just try to take one arm at a time by folding in the opposite forearm. Just take a few deep breaths here. If you don't have a microphone in the way, you can always work to try to get your chin down towards the mat, chest down towards the mat. Just breathe. And then on your next inhale, press down into those blocks to lift the chest carefully. Scoot them off to the side. And then we'll curl our toes, lift our hips, come back to downward facing dog. Any little wiggles here that might feel good? Inhale and lift that left leg up, bend the knee, bring that left foot towards the front of the mat. Let's inhale up into that high crescent lunge. Energy out through that back heel. Can always have a little micro bend in that back knee if that would feel better. Squeeze this right glute. And then we'll take those pulses with the cactus arms. So on an inhale, I kind of like to lift up a little bit and then exhale, cactus the arms down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale it up, open that chest. Let's do 2 more. Last one here. Come back up to that high crescent. Reach forward with the torso. Hands can come to heart center. They can come down to the mat or blocks. Maybe launch off that back foot, or maybe need a little help getting up into that warrior 3. Ground down through that left foot. And then take those leg lifts. If you need hands down on the mat, you can. Hands on blocks, or you could try it balancing. Squeeze this outer hip in to kind of help you stabilize and not dump through the left side. I think we have 2 more. Last one. Step that right foot to meet the left and we'll land in our Utkatasana chair. Squeeze the glutes, sternum is reaching forward. Exhale, hands to heart center. Twist over to the left. Hook your right elbow on the outside of the right knee. If that's not working, just stay more upright. Listen to your body. Shift the weight into your left foot. Find a point to focus on the floor that's not moving. See if you can step that right foot back into a revolve lunge. Hugging those inner thighs in towards one another will help you balance. And then we'll start to reach as we lift our torso up. Reach this right arm forward. Cartwheel the arms all the way open into Virabhadrasana 2 on the left. Left knee is bent, tracking towards those toes. Inhale, flip that front palm, reverse that warrior, get a nice side stretch. One more breath. And then exhale, cartwheel those hands all the way down to the mat. Spin onto those back toes. Step that left foot back to meet the right in a plank, but come down onto your knees. We'll do another variation of puppy stretch. Grab those blocks. If any of the first 2 variations were enough for you, stick with those. Hands on mat, one arm at a time, hands on blocks. If those were feeling intense, stay there. If you want a little bit more opening through your shoulders, you can actually place your elbows down on top of the blocks. Make sure you leave enough room. You're wanting them to be shoulders distance apart. Leave enough room for your head here. Place your elbows down on the blocks. Bring your hands together into prayer hands, and then work to lower the chest and shoulders down towards the mat. And then with those arms, you could even kind of go back and forth with the palms, feeling the opening up through the back of your triceps. And just breathe here. These are, in yoga, kind of called our king arms. So anytime we're in a pose like king dancer or king pigeon, we really have to get our shoulders into flexion here with the bent elbows, reaching back for usually a foot behind us. Today we'll do a mermaid pose, which is kind of the step before king pigeon. But in mermaid, we'll have one of our arms kind of in that king variation. All right, I think I've talked the entire time that we were in this one. Carefully press down into the elbows to lift your chest. You can come onto your hands, scoot those blocks off to the side. You can even come back onto your knees, just give those shoulders a little roll one way and then another. We'll come back into downward facing dog. So curl those toes, lift the hips. Let's lift that right leg up high. You can bend the knee, open the hip quickly. Get a nice stretch there on the left leg. And then bring that right leg to the outside of the right hand into our high lizard lunge. Hands can be on blocks here. Maybe rock back and forth. Just do any little movements here in lizard that would feel good. If you want to come down onto that back knee, maybe rock the hip side to side. This is kind of helping us get our last little hip flexor stretch before we try our mermaid. If you want to come down onto forearms, you can. Allow that sternum to still reach forward in this pose. All right, we'll walk back up to hands if you aren't already. Let's go ahead and curl the toes, lift that back knee, and then start to heel toe this right foot over towards the left hand. We'll come down onto the right shin for pigeon prep. We'll come into mermaid through pigeon prep. First thing we'll want to do is check in and make sure that our pelvis is square to the front. If you're noticing that you can get one hip down but you're really rotating towards the side, work to get the hips square if that means having that hip come off of the mat. We always can use a prop underneath that hip for support to help us get our hips square to the front. So once we have found our square position, We'll make sure we're off of that back kneecap. Maybe curl those toes and kind of walk the back leg back a little bit. That'll help get off of that kneecap. Grab your strap. Step 1 will be just to work on bending this back leg. So you can bend the back leg, maybe hook the strap, have a loop at the end of your strap, maybe reach back and hook the strap around the sole of your foot, and then take the strap in your left hand and work to open your chest. We're going to externally rotate that right arm, press the foot into the strap and pull on the strap. Right arm can reach up overhead or it can help you balance in front. So you should feel a stretch here pretty deep on that left hip flexor. You should feel heart opening. This would kind of be our step 1. Step 2 would be to reach back with your hand, and you'll grab the inner edge of that foot. Kind of the same idea. For Mermaid, you can also work to bend this leg in towards the glute and try to get the foot into the crease of your left elbow. If you're feeling too intense here through the hip flexor, back out and go to one of the other versions where your arm is more extended behind you. If you're able to get the foot into the crease of your elbow, then you can reach the right arm up overhead. Think king arms like we just did, where the elbow is bent. Bend that elbow, reach the hand behind your head, and then maybe see if you can reach hands towards one another. This is another option to use your strap. You could allow the strap to help you meet hands, and then you would just pull on the strap from opposite hand, or work to clasp hands. This would be your mermaid pose. You can gaze forward, take one more breath. And then wherever you are, carefully release that back foot. Don't let it slingshot. Just kind of carefully release it back down towards the mat. We'll come back forward. We'll actually allow ourselves to come onto that right hip now. Swing this left leg around. Cross that left leg over the right into a half Lord of the Fishes. So right heel is at the left hip. We're on the left sole of the foot. If this is too intense, just extend this bottom leg out in front of you. And then lift this left arm up overhead, long spine. Exhale, twist towards the left fingertips behind you, and then hug that left knee in with the right arm. You can gaze back over that back shoulder. You should feel a nice stretch there through the left outer hip. On your next inhale, let's come back forward and then continue spinning towards the right. Place your hands down behind you. Press up and just lift the hips, kind of spin, and you'll stand with wide legs, little ragdoll, facing the back of the mat. You can grab opposite elbows, keep bent knees, lift those sit bones up high, just release for a moment. And then, if you used any props, scoot them down, do the back of your mat. We'll walk hands out and just land in a downward facing dog facing the back of the mat. Let's inhale and lift that left leg up high, bend the knee, open that hip, keep that left shoulder square, and then bring that left foot towards the outside of the left hand into that high lizard lunge. Use any props here underneath your hands. If you want to come down onto that back knee, just any variations that felt good for you last time, you can try them on this side as well. Just allow a few breaths here to explore. If you're down on forearms, think about pulling that chest through. Sternum reaches forward, continuing that I am open, heart opening theme of class. We'll come back up onto our hands if you aren't already. Curl those back toes, lift the back knee, and then walk that left foot over towards the right hand. Come onto that left shin. That left shin does not need to be parallel to the top of the mat. Just allow it to fall wherever is comfortable for you. Check in with those hips. Place a prop underneath that left hip if you need it. Have that strap handy. And then once you're square, see if you can bend that right leg, lift the foot, and then same options apply here. So you could have the strap hooking around the sole of the foot and then reaching back for that with the right arm. Hand can stay on the mat. You could use just your hand on the inside of the right foot, or maybe bend that leg, see if you can get the foot into the right elbow crease, and then this left arm will reach up overhead bending. If you think you need to use a strap, have that in your left hand, reaching back behind you, grab it with the right hand and then work to pull. Or maybe allow the hands to clasp. Think about opening the chest. Keep that transverse abdominis hugging in there, protecting everything in our low back. One more breath. And then on your exhale, carefully, without letting it just slingshot back down to the mat, release that back foot. We'll allow the weight to come onto that left hip, and we'll spin that right leg around into our half lord of the fishes. So right leg crosses over left. Inhale that right arm up, tall, 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 long spine. Exhale, twist towards the right, hug that knee in with the opposite arm. You can gaze over that back shoulder. Just release. On your next inhale, come back to center, continue twisting to the left, and we'll do the same thing we did where we lifted the hips. We had a little wide leg ragdoll moment here. Just allow all of that to release. Kind of feel that middle to upper back area, just releasing and finding some space. And then we'll just roll up one vertebrae at a time, letting our head rise up last. So we're standing here at the back of our mat. Keep that strap handy. We will do a little big toe to hand. So if you know you need a strap around your foot, you might even just want to have it here in your hand with the loop ready. So we'll inhale and lift this right leg up into stork in front of us with a bent knee. Ground down through that left foot. An option here to take your big toe to hand. So you can hook that strap around the sole of your foot and work to straighten that right leg out in front of you. So we're pressing the foot into the strap, pulling on the strap with our hand. If you'd like to grab yogi toe lock around that big toe, you can, or grab the outer edge of the foot, or have no balance if you're me today. Find that drishti. I'm going to give myself that cue. A point of focus, straighten that leg. And then if you'd like to open it out to the side, you can. Keep this left outer hip hugging in. Maybe reach that left arm out to the side to help you balance. We'll come back forward, release the foot. You can bend the knee, and we'll just step that right foot forward and land in a pyramid. Turn the left toes out slightly. Feet or hips distance apart like on railroad tracks. Let's hinge at the hips, fold forward over that front leg. You can place blocks under your hands if you need them, and just a release. See if you can pull that right hip back, left hip forward. Just take a quick breath here. Before you rise up, if it is handy to grab that strap, take that in your hand. We'll rise all the way back up to stand. Shift the weight into that right foot. Lift this left leg up into your stork, bent knee. Hook the strap around the sole of the foot. Extend that leg out in front of you. Really ground down through all corners of that right foot. Open that left leg out to the side. Think about hugging in here through your glute medius, your outer hip. Use an arm for counterbalance if you need it. Reach that leg back out in front of you. Release the strap if you're using it. And then step that left foot forward, and we'll take that pyramid fold on the left side. So hips square. Exhale. Hinge here at the hips. Reach long with the crown of your head, and then fold forward over that front leg. And just release. We'll take 2 breaths here. See if you can wrap that left hip forward, wrap that right hip forward, draw that left hip back. Last breath. Let's inhale into a half lift and just step that right foot forward to meet the left, and then roll back up one vertebrae at a time. We should have arrived at the front of our mat now. Let's inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, sit back into that chair, and then see if you can lower all the way onto your seat. You may need to use hands or blocks if you need to. Go for that. Once you land on your seat, scoot it back. Reach the legs out long in front of you. We'll come into Paschimottanasana. This is our seated forward fold. If you'd like to sit up on a blanket, you can place that underneath your sit bones. If you'd like to use a strap wrapping around the soles of your feet, grab that also. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, just like we did in that pyramid. Think about hinging here at the hip, long spine, reaching all the way across the room. And then once you've kind of found your edge, you can allow that upper back, that neck to release. Think about engaging those quadriceps and really kind of pushing the thighs into the floor as you draw your belly in. See if that helps you get a little bit more compression, a little bit more of a forward fold. Let's take one more breath. On your next inhale, on tented fingertips, you can just slowly start to walk the hands back towards the hips. Realign that spine just one vertebrae at a time. Allow your head to be last. We'll scoot the seat forward and roll down onto our backs. Before you roll down, bring your blocks towards the back of your mat. We'll have an option instead of Shavasana to take a supported fish. So if you think you would like that, take your blocks with you. Just roll down one vertebrae at a time. Hug those knees in, maybe roll them around in one direction and then the other, kind of massaging the low back. And then let's take Ananda Balasana Happy Baby. So reach for your feet. You could take Yogi Toe Lock on the big toes, grab the outer edges of the feet, hook your strap around the feet. Whatever works for you, just start to bring the feet parallel like you're standing on the ceiling, and then draw the knees in towards the armpits. Check in with the shoulders and the sacrum. Make sure that those are staying on the mat. If we're rounding up to reach the feet, we need to reach somewhere lower on the legs, towards like the ankle or the calf and the shin. Maybe rock side to side. And then let's just release the feet, place the feet down, soles of the feet down on the mat, maybe hips distance or just slightly wider. And we'll just do a super simple little twist here. Almost like we're windshield wipering the legs. Just bring both knees over towards the right. You can have your arms out in a T or a cactus. Just kind of feel that hip flexor stretching one more time. You could even press down through the inner edge of that left foot and squeeze the left glute to maybe lift that hip a little bit more and feel that stretch going all the way up through the psoas. Let's bring it back to center and then just allow the knees to fall over to the left. You could press down through that right foot, squeeze the right glute. Bring it back up to center and just take one more supine twist that would feel good for you. So you could just stack knees. You could extend one leg and hug the knee in, take it to the opposite side. You could cross your legs and take them over. Just whatever supine twist would feel good for you before we finish our practice today. And we'll just take 1 to 2 breaths on each side. Go ahead and take your supine twist to the opposite side if you haven't already. And then when you're ready, come back to center, hug the knees in one more time, and either meet in Shavasana with legs extended down towards the opposite corners of the mat, or if you'd like to kind of end the class with a heart opening posture, you could take a supported fish. So for supported fish, you'll make a little heart bench. You can place one block that will be right underneath your shoulder blades supporting and one block underneath your head. So I like to do one going horizontally and one vertically. You do you. You can play around with the blocks however that feels good for you. Just make sure that first one is really lining up with the bottom of your shoulder blades and supporting. And then find the right placement for the other one on your head. You might even need to like raise a setting on the block. I know for me, different days, I kind of have different needs in my own body. So once you have your upper body set, it should be lifting your chest. Your arm bones will be kind of opening to the sides. You can choose your leg placement for this supported fish. You could have reconstructive knees with feet wide, knees knocking in. You could just take Shavasana legs. You could even like roll up a blanket underneath your knees. You could take Supta Baddha Konasana with the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. And then just allow your arms to open out to the sides, palms facing up. If you're in just a normal Shavasana, lift your chest and see if you can tuck your shoulder blades underneath and then reach your arms out to the sides. Allow your fingertips to curl in naturally. Close your eyes. Let's take one more breath in together. Big inhale in. Exhale, let it go out through your mouth. And just release. Come back to that I am statement from beginning of class. Just repeat it here silently to yourself. Just check in with all areas of your body. Notice where you might still be holding on to tension. Bring your awareness there and see if you can just let that tension go. This is time at the end of our practice to kind of release, absorb, surrender. So take this time for yourself to allow that to happen. I will invite you to just stay here as long as you would like. Thank you so much for practicing with me today.